The studio today, we're talking about how you get on the worship team. I don't know. Should you be on the worship team? Ask yourself that question first. Maybe you're not a musician at all and you're like, I don't know what I just on this channel because I saw this cool thumbnail. But anyway, it is occurring to me today. I just sent one of our new guys a link for my bass sections. He's wanting to play the bass, and he can play the bass, but he's just having a hard time reading the charts because the worship band charts are different than rock and roll band from the day. So let's say, for example, for him, he's played the bass guitar in rock and roll, stuff like that, but he's never really played on a worship team, I guess, or hasn't played on a worship team that uses charts like ours does. So I was looking through and I realized, this is an issue, because if you get to right thing, that's it. Here it is. You can hit one button and throw everybody into a total mess. All right, so when I started thinking, if you're trying to learn the bass and you're trying to get on the worship team, and you're like, I want to be on the worship team, what do you do? So first of all, go talk to your worship leader first. Go do that. Go talk to your worship leader and be like, but sometimes you're like, hey, I want to play on the worship team. They're like, okay, that's cool. If they don't have a set path for you at your church to get on the team, you're just going to have to, my best advice is just bug the worship leader. Just talk to him all the time, bug him, let him know, be there, because leaders are busy. Okay. The guys that are worship leaders are scatterbrained and busy, mostly because they've got all this stuff going on. So they're trying to get week to week stuff going, right? So if you come like, hey, I want to be on the worship team. Oh, great. That's great. Some of them are going to be right on it. Some of them are going to be like, oh, well, I'm over here trying to get this fixed. And they might just forget. And then you don't talk to them another month or two. And then you think, well, they don't need me. And that can be a bad situation. So what you want to do is just get involved in their brain space and stay in it if you want to be on the worship team. Now, if you go to the worship leader and say, hey, I want to be on the worship team, and they say, oh, well, here, fill out this paperwork, and then, we'll have this audition, and we audition every 3 months. There are some churches that have specific onboarding sessions, that we only have auditions 4 times a year, and it's like a process, and that's safe because it gives you a chance to get to know them. Some churches may say like, well, we need guitar players like right now. Can you meet me this week and we can talk? And they're real motivated. Other worship pastors may be bivocational and may be like, well, that's great. We need musicians, but I'm having a hard time even getting my stuff together with practices and stuff. So what are we going to do? So there are different scenarios, but the biggest thing is it's on you. I don't really feel like it's the worship leader's job to get you on the worship team. If you want to be on the worship team, I think it's your thing to get on the worship team. Drop the frame. Whoa. So let's see. Let's run a speed test. What is it? I always do speed test. Let's do it. Let's see what is the speed today. Are we slow? Is this gonna make it? Are we gonna make it? It doesn't look like it. That's super slow. So get on. I always have like a really good session, and then I get some dumb slow internet. So that's pretty slow. Upload's not bad. I guess that's what we're focused on, upload. But download is super bad. It's gonna say your internet is very slow. Yeah, your internet connection is very slow. So maybe that's why, if it's cutting in and out, that's probably why. So I'm going to say it's not your worship leader's job to get you on the worship team. It's your job to get on the worship team. If you want to be on the worship team, if that's what God's calling you to do, then work forward towards that, navigating your church's issue, whether it's wait 3 months for an audition, whether it's just go play, whether it's just bring your guitar to the next practice and show everybody you're awesome, whatever it is. But you need to find out from the worship leader how it happens. And so then you need to practice, because a lot of people have come to me in the past and said, I want to be on the worship team. And then they're not really, that's fine. They want to be on the worship team, but they don't know how to play, or they're not good enough to even play with the worship team. So in their mind, it's a dream to be on the worship team. Like kind of like when I was a kid, I want to be a rock star, you know, but I was obsessive. So what I'd say, if you're wanting to be on the worship team, but you're not ready yet, or maybe you don't know you're ready. Hey, I don't know if I'm ready, but I really want to be. What do I need to do to get ready? See, again, it's back to the leader, go back to the worship leader. What songs do I have to learn to be on the worship team? What do I have to do to, you know, be the drummer? You know, what do the drummers have to do? So in my worship leadership sessions, I talk about all of the different things. If you're a worship leader, what you could say, well, here's the list of what you need to do. We have some templates for you if you're worship leadership. If you're actually trying to be on the worship team, you could say, well, I'm willing to take lessons. I'm willing to learn all the songs that you guys play. I'm willing to come to practice. I'm willing to actually do something. Because if you don't want to practice and do stuff and really be a good worship team member, you shouldn't even don't bother the worship leader, okay? Hint from previous experience. If you're not really going to practice and do your part and be there and do what you need to do, don't bother the worship leader and waste everybody's time, okay? Waste your time, the worship leader's time, everybody's time, because being on the worship team requires practice. Sometimes even me as a professional musician, music degree, playing many years, I would sometimes practice 5 hours a week, 5 hours before I go to practice, okay? And then I'd go to practice for 2 or 3 hours, and then I would go to Sunday morning practice for another hour. And then, so you're talking about putting in, if you're just playing on a pretty high level team, you're talking about putting in 8 hours, 10 hours, possibly a week, 10 hours. Some people, that's a part-time job. So, and they're not going to pay you. Most likely they're not going to pay you. Unless you're in some kind of mega church where they're, you know, you're like a professional player. So then if that's the case, most likely you're not watching this because you already know how to get on the worship team. So if you're a medium level or even a great musician, but you're just in a medium-sized church and you're like, I want to get on the worship team, get involved in the worship leader's brain space. That's where you need to be. Be a nice person, get involved in his brain space, get up in their business, show up, ask him when practice is, ask him what the songs are, ask him what the protocol is for auditioning, do they audition, and just go to lunch with him or just send him a bunch of text messages. The thing I have noticed, though, if you just go, like, I want to be on the worship team, and then you just never talk to the worship leader again, probably not going to be on the worship team. It's probably not going to happen in general. Saying that, what I'm saying, he doesn't care that you've said that. That's just, oh, that's cool. Yeah. There's a process that goes beyond that gets you on the worship team. And he's not going to, unless he's desperate for musicians, he's not going to follow you up. He's not going to be like, hey, I heard you said you want to do it. Well, you want to do it. That's not a great scenario for him, because he needs motivated, inspired worship team members. I talk about this again in Worship Leadership Foundations. He needs motivated, inspired worship team members. All right, so that's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is get yourself ready, prepare yourself, get up in the worship leader's brain space, then prepare yourself. Go to worshiptheking.com, click on courses. You can take any course on here. For example, the guy was working with the bass course. Well, I mean, it shows you down here. If you scroll all the way down in the course, okay, bass course, bass progression sessions, bass next level, bass foundations 1. These are the 3 courses that I sent to our guy this week. It said, start with this one, then go to that one. You'll be ready. I think he's going to be ready because he already has the chops. He can already play the bass. Now he needs to be able to go, okay, I know how to do this according to what they're going to give me. Okay, that's the next step. Then he's cleared in the leadership's mind, like, yeah, this guy's ready to play. And then, you go to a practice and then you're up there, and then pretty soon what happens in worship teams is a lot of people quit, so people come and go. That's how it is in any scenario. But right now people say, well, I got to move. I'm the bass player for a year and a half. Now I have to move. My job moved me to another state. So you're always going to be, you may be the no bass player yet. You may just be, I want to be on there. And in a year from now, you may be the only one there. You may be the guy like playing every week. So getting on the worship team can seem a little hard at first. Getting up and getting involved and getting somebody to notice you and feeling like I'm going to be good enough, and then getting, learning how they do it. But once you get on the worship team, from experience, it's like if you're a good player, you're a nice guy or girl. We have a girl bass player. That's why I said that. Then you're going to stay on the worship team, and they're going to be like every week, hey, can you play? Hey, can you play? Then you're going to turn around and be like, oh, I can only play once a month because I'm really burned out. So I talk about all of this in Worship Leadership Foundations, and it's right here as well. So if you're a worship leader and you're like, yeah, I don't know. We have the push and pull. The worship leaders are like, I need more people. Then you have the people that are in the church going, well, I want to play. How do I get this? Is there enough room for me? Et cetera, et cetera. I believe that there is. Now, not in every church. Now, in every church, they're not in every church. Sometimes they have more musicians than they need. It's rare. I will tell you that is rare. So if you have a desire to be on the worship team, get on worshiptheking.com, look at some courses, start studying the genre, start listening to the music your church is playing, start getting in your worship leader's head. Start texting him, calling him, talking to him, letting him know you want to be there, showing up, asking if you can do some stuff. You may be in a church where, for example, I had a young friend of mine who went to Hillsong in New York, and for like a couple years, he was like stacking chairs. He wanted to be a worship leader, and he's stacking chairs for the team for like a couple years, and he became one of the worship leaders at Hillsong New York. It's just a leadership servant scenario. So after a while, he got to play on the team, and then they're like, oh, wow, he's really good. He was phenomenally good. So they're like, after a while, like, hey, do you want to this? And all of a sudden he's a band leader and a team leader, and then he's traveling around the world with Hillsong doing different concerts and stuff. So it starts with just stacking chairs. Maybe just do that. Maybe, hey, I'm gonna come and help the worship team out. It isn't just about you getting on stage. It isn't just about going up to somebody and saying, I'd love to do this, make this happen for me. No worship leader wants anybody like that. Nobody wants worship team members that just think they can just show up and play and do nothing else and not practice and just get up there and get all the glory on stage. That's not even the point of it. All right, guys, I'm going to go on to some other segments today. I thought this was relative to what I was doing for our team right now, just trying to get some more people involved, trying to follow up with some people today, and realize like, wow, yeah, this is getting on the worship team is not just a one-time thing. You go out and tell somebody, I'd love to do that, and then all of a sudden you're on. It's a process, and that's sort of as a worship leader and knowing our leadership team and watching the many years of seeing people there, you got to get involved and you got to get up in their headspace. I had a lead guitar player sitting in my church one time for like a year and a half, and he never told me he really played. And then finally, I don't know how I figured it out, but he became our lead guitar player. And I asked him, I said, well, why did it take you like two and a half years to even get involved? Because he was all up in music. That was all he ever did, but I didn't know that. And he said, well, it just pretty much figured you guys had everybody you needed. He didn't feel super needed. He just thought, I thought it was cool what you were doing. I didn't think I could really do anything. So that is wrong. So go up to the worship leader, go up to these people and say, hey, I want to be up involved. And for example, in our scenario right now, we may not need any more drummers right now, or we don't need any more acoustic guitar players right now, but we definitely need more mixers, audio guys. So we've gotten some new people, and it's like, oh, well, you're really, basically you'd be great for mixing, and then you could play once a month or something. It's a building. When you look up at stage, you see a couple singers, a drummer, bass player, and you see these people that are up front. There's another probably double that people behind at least on our team, there's that many more people behind the scene and in the tech booth now as we're growing. So you have an entire amount of people behind the scenes working on that, setting up the stage, setting up the mics, doing all that, running the sound, doing the live stream, doing the video, setting up the video, getting the video ready. All that stuff has to happen. The band just kind of stands there once Sunday morning starts. That's a small part of the group that's actually making that happen. So maybe your place in the beginning is not on stage. Maybe you work on the tech team for 6 months and then you go like, I'm going to play. And it's all about building relationship. That's why I'm saying get up in the worship leader's brain. Get up on his text messages and get to know some of the tech guys, get to know some of the band members, and then, you could probably get on a worship team. All right, that is my advice for you today. God bless you. Go to worshiptheking.com. If you like the video, share this video, subscribe to the channel. I'll be back all day. I'll be doing some live videos. And tomorrow, Derek Johnson's coming to this studio to do Share Hope. God bless you guys.